I'm Kat.
I'm Haley.
And this is Night Classy, the podcast where two teachers unwind, sip wine, and each teach a lesson we can't teach at school. What are we drinking, Haley?
We're drinking Fiction by Field Recordings.
Yeah.
So it's fitting.
Topical.
Also, I just panicked there for a second. Yeah, I knew you were about to ask me what we were drinking, and I was like, oh my God, what are we drinking? Where's the bottle of wine?
It was literally right next to her hand.
Yeah, I still panicked though, because there's a water bottle, another water bottle. How the hell am I supposed to find what I need?
There really is a lot going on this table right now. Like, there's very little empty space. I was going to say surface area, but there's a lot of surface area. It's just been covered up by a bunch of our shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of surface area and there's a lot of shit. So
yeah, we each have like 2 beers, a water bottle, a bottle of wine, a cup of wine.
It doesn't add up, y'all.
No. And there's like phones and ring lights and microphones everywhere. We're very important. It's quite the production.
It's a whole, yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, we keep saying like the same thing.
What if we
It is a whole production.
Sometimes when I listen back to episodes, you say something and then I just repeat what you said. I'm like, that's a really annoying habit I have.
Well, I do the same thing to you. I think that we are like on the same wavelength so much that I say something like a second before you do and we end up almost saying it at the same time, or like vice versa.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to everyone listening who's like, man, that's annoying.
Yeah. And maybe I think you're just giving me too much credit, like saying that like I thought of it but said it later than you, because I literally just like have this habit where I repeat what you say. And it's hella obnoxious. I'm so sorry.
It's probably you trying to make sense of what I'm saying, because half the time I can't communicate what I actually mean. So you're probably like, yes, the apple on the tree. Oh, yes, the apple on the tree.
No, I think it's like, you make sense. But like, I think it's more like, instead of a beat of silence where I can like take in and process what you say, I just repeat it back instead of like being silent while my brain thinks about it.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
It's the pressure of a podcaster.
Yeah, you feel like you have to fill all the empty space. Mm-hmm. Like, this is not a normal conversation, right? Because you have to fill all the air. Like, when you're talking to someone normally, you can take a beat and like look around, but with this you just like keep talking and there's a lot of pressure to keep talking, and so like you end up saying just random shit that doesn't need to be said.
Fast and heavy.
Fast.
Is that what the term is? Not even term, the saying. Fast and hard.
Fast and I don't,
baseball
about
term, right?
what?
Baseball, right?
Baseball. That's not what I associate it with.
I dated a baseball player in 5th grade. I know my way around the baseball.
Hot.
Oh my God. Well, anyway, back to the wine. It is Fiction by Field Recordings, and the label is really cute.
It is cute.
I don't know how to describe it. There's a bunch of shapes.
Yeah.
But more importantly, it's a good wine.
Oh my God, it's so freaking good. It tastes like fruit, and then after you swallow it, your mouth tastes like buttercream frosting.
Yeah, it's very creamy.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed when I was pouring it into our glasses that it was very thick. It kind of like guzzled out, kind of like oil. So that's kind of gross.
We're really selling it. She pours it into her cup and she goes, it smells like butter.
It really did. And
Yeah.
it tastes like it too.
Yeah, but like I like it.
I do too. This might be one of our favorites. And you even called it at High Point Grocery. You were like, this is a pretty label. Like, this wine is going to be good.
I like that it says recording.
We're like, recording, podcast recording, microphones. Night Classy.
Mind blown.
Mind meld.
It's quite the brain train. But yeah, so we were just at High Point Grocery today picking this up. And if you're new here, High Point Grocery is our amazing sponsor. They are a small, locally owned grocery store in Memphis, Tennessee, located at 469 High Point Terrace. They have an amazing selection of wines and a really incredible selection of local beer. So definitely check them out if you're in the city.
Yeah, we love them. Also, this wine has a little poem or something on it.
What?
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
As the day breaks, I load the van and set out. The highway becomes frontage road, side road, no road. Neighborhoods dwindle away. Buildings give way to fields. But I'm not looking at the street anymore. Instead, my eyes are wide open, searching the horizon for lines of thick vines rolling through the hills. I know I must press on, for these lines will For these lines will one day blend together to create the next vintage tale.
Wow. It's
Whatever that means.
A very dramatic line.
Yes, it is. Okay. She's feeling moody.
Yeah, she's majoring in poetry. It's her freshman year of college at NYU.
She's
very
feeling all the
excited.
things. She wears a beanie for sure.
Oh,
For
absolutely.
sure.
She's got a septum piercing and everything.
She's got clear glasses and like the bluish tint clear glasses too. She has two clear glasses.
And she has those baby bangs.
Baby bangs for sure.
Yeah.
And they're bleached.
Yes, like a yellow white.
Doc Martens, obviously.
Yeah. Also, we sound like we're making fun of this person, but I want to be this person.
I want to understand this person because I feel like I could not get at the level at which someone writes such words. Just kidding. But yeah, I think I'd be friends with that person. I'd really like to know who wrote that.
Me too.
Just their freaking copywriter. They're like, oh yeah, we just said some stuff.
Yeah, it's a man named Matt in a blue button up.
What if this was just like a Facebook post where it's like start the sentence as, and then like let Siri fill in the rest, or just like start the sentence as the day, and then the rest of it is just Siri.
Nice.
Wow. We just
Is that how you write
Siri's
poetry?
I guess for some people it is.
That's how I would write poetry. Well, you've had an exciting week.
I have. And before we address my exciting week, I want to talk about last week's episode really quick here before I forget. I was listening to last week's episode, and in it I said that I would not want, like, once I get old, I wouldn't want to keep living or be on this earth once I was not physically able to get around. And that doesn't capture exactly how I feel. I think that I didn't communicate exactly how I felt properly. Personally, I was thinking about my grandmother. She had a stroke, and after her stroke, she was paralyzed with half of her body, but she was mentally still there, although mentally she started to deteriorate. And watching that over the years, it was really hard for her and for me. Yeah, that sounds so conceited, but for me to watch as her grandchild, watching her deteriorate both mentally and physically, and her not to be able to have the quality of life that she once had as someone who was in bed all the time. And I did not mean to be ableist. People can live completely full lives in so many different ways. So I just wanted to apologize and set the record straight. I would like to make the most of this life no matter what condition I'm in, but I don't think I properly communicated that last week.
Yeah,
So.
thank you. Thank you for coming out and saying that. I think that when we're drinking and like also like splitting our focus between reading notes and telling stories, you'll like blurt something out without giving the full context, and it comes across like not at all how you meant it. And we do that all the time. Like, I'm sure this is not the first time, and it's good to be able to listen back and reflect on that and be like, okay, like maybe this needs some correction.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that it's important for us to also communicate that, because there's so much editing that can be done, especially with a podcast. You know, Alec does an excellent job of editing out all the ums and everything, but we're still people and people make mistakes, and that's part of life and growing, is like saying, okay, I got this one wrong. I didn't do this exactly like how I could have. So I just wanted to own that and let you all know what was truly going on in my mind.
And I'm sure there's people that like listen to that and didn't think anything of it. And so it's good to like leave it in and address it so that our audience can reflect on what that means. Anyway, thank you, Haley.
Besides that, I had a very exciting week. Oh my God. My partner, Tommy, adopted a freaking kitten this week.
She looks like a tiny snowball.
She's so cute. And you're meeting her tonight. Like,
Definitely.
It's definitely happening. We make lots of plans for after this podcast that don't end up happening, but you're definitely meeting her tonight.
No, this is happening. Yesterday, I went to Home Depot to get washers because I was building furniture, and Home Depot is right by Tommy's house. And I was like, I should swing by and see the kitten. But I was scared because I thought maybe Alec would be mad at me that I saw the kitten before
Oh
he
my
did.
gosh.
So I didn't do it.
I wish you would have. Would you have been mad, Alec?
No.
Controlling boyfriend over to you.
I know he wouldn't be mad, but I know that I'd be mad at him. And so I didn't want to be a hypocrite.
Oh my God. Make me sound abusive just for your own neuroses.
No. I'm the bad partner. But I didn't want to be a hypocrite because I knew that if Alec went without me and I was working late and he went without me, I'd be mad. Not mad, but I'd be like,
a little
cool.
jealous.
Yeah, a little jealous.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. You definitely missed out.
I'm sure. I also wanted, like, I know it's exciting to get a new pet, and the cat was probably also like overstimulated. I didn't want to like harsh your guys' mellow. Like Tommy was so excited, and I kind of also wanted to let him have his moment
Yeah.
with the cat. I didn't want to steal her.
You'll get to come see tonight. He was the one who said, "Let Alec and Kat know that they should come over."
That's
it wasn't even me be like, "We should invite them over." Not that it's ever like that, but Tommy likes his alone time.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
but I'm sure he's super excited to show off his new cat.
He is. Oh my gosh, Safety. However, my cat, not so much. He just looked at me like I physically hurt him, like I betrayed him.
He'll come around because he loves the other cats that we have so much.
Yeah, that's why I was so surprised why he acted like this was the end of his world.
Well, he had the perfect little family and he was the baby, and now there's a new baby. So that is hard.
And by the way, her name is Baby.
And she's solid white and about the size of the palm of your hand, right?
Yes, her head is like the size of a watch face. She's so small, and she is six weeks old. She's old enough to be with us and to have been adopted. She's freaking little, and she's fluffy, and my cat is all black, and she's all white, and they're going to be adorable when they get along one day and stop hissing at each other.
So cute. So now Haley can never wear black or white.
Those are like my main colors.
I know.
I'm such a neutrals girl.
Now you're just going to have to always wear patterns to hide the cat hair, or gray.
I could do gray. I told Tommy next year we're getting a cat every year for the rest of our lives. So next year we have to get gray so we can get the full gray scale.
Yeah, nice grayscale. I told Alec the same thing. I think we could compromise, but like between the four of us, we get one cat every year. Because then there's not like too many cats. There's just the perfect amount of cats.
Just enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's a perfect plan. I mean, what could go wrong?
I mean, absolutely nothing.
We start hoarding cats? We end up on
Impossible.
a show?
There's no such thing. What we have to do is somehow make a lot of money and then buy like one of those gigantic old Victorian houses in Memphis that's like 10 apartments inside, like just huge.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can fill up our old haunted Victorian house with cats.
Oh,
and there can be like a litter box in every room, and that'll be enough litter boxes for all of the cats, but it won't be like overwhelming because they're spread out.
And you know what one of my true life goals is as a cat mother is to have one of those really nice litter boxes.
Yeah, the robotic ones.
No. I'm not talking about the robotic self-scooping ones. I mean, that would be great, but I'm talking about one of the ones that looks like a piece of furniture.
Those are nice. You could
a
put
nightstand. I mean, actually not a nightstand, but you know what I'm talking about. Like a table.
Those aren't expensive.
Alec and
I were looking at them because when we first moved into our house, we were like, we're not sure where to put the litter box. So we actually looked into getting a nightstand that was a litter box. You can get it on Amazon for like $100.
I'm not willing to spend that.
Really? But it's furniture.
Yeah. I mean, for that, I already have a nightstand. Maybe one day, but right now I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Right now I'm definitely fine with it. Also, like our house does stink like cats right now, but my mom is coming.
Why? Even
I'm using this as a transition. My mom and my little brother are coming on Sunday, so we're gonna do a deep clean and I'm gonna scrub the house of cat smell. I have literally a list of things that need to be clean written on a Post-it note stuck to my laptop that I'm looking at right now.
You know what's fun? A really fun way to clean?
What?
Just get blasted. Just get like mimosas at 6 a.m.
That does not sound effective.
You never know until you try. I've never done it, but
Oh, thanks for so what Haley's saying is I can pass out drinking mimosas, lay in my bed, and she's gonna come clean the house and save the day.
I did say I would clean the upstairs. I just want mimosas. We're freaking
Oh my
vaccinated.
God, I want
and we
mimosas
haven't
too.
done anything.
But you know what? My mom's gonna be here for a week, and it's fucking party time.
Your mom goes hard. I already know.
She does go hard. We're gonna have a lot of fun, and it's state testing next week, so like I don't have to lesson plan. I just have to go in and like monitor the kids. It'll be boring as hell. I have to stand in the room silently for like 6 hours, but that means I don't have to do anything, and I can be hungover.
Yes, you can. You can, and you will.
For legal reasons, this is satire.
I will not.
All right. Do you have anything else? Oh, I have one more thing.
Wow. Okay. Why don't you just say
Well,
your one more
you
thing?
can do your thing. Like I just have a housekeeping.
I don't have
thing.
anything, but if I did,
Okay. Well,
that'd
I
be
didn't.
annoying.
I didn't think you did.
Wow. Way to assume.
You had something and you put it in the front. You just cut
Oh my
the
God.
line.
Just talk. I'm just trying to be shitty. Go.
Well, I want to say that when this episode comes out, it is Teacher Appreciation Week nationally. So first of all, if you have a child that has a teacher or you are in school and have a teacher, please shower them with love and gifts. Probably the best thing you could do is write them a letter about how much you appreciate them. But I mean, a gift card to Starbucks doesn't hurt either. And we are also teachers, so if you want to show some appreciation for us, please, please, please leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts. We love to get those ratings. If you really want to go the extra mile, you could post about us on your social media, tell your friends, and, you know, maybe even do a little Patreon donation for Teacher Appreciation Week.
Can I chime in? Because the Teacher Appreciation Day is also my birthday, and I was the most recent Patreon guest, and we had a great time. So if you want to support the producers of the world and the teachers, double up, support us on Patreon.
Yes, please do that. So just saying, it is a nationally recognized thing, and we are teachers. So
We're teachers that go honestly above and beyond. We've made a whole podcast plus teaching.
we have so many students. We have our students, and we got you guys. So
We appreciate you all so much, and we know that you're here to support us. So, and I mean, it's not like you're not getting anything out of the deal when you do subscribe to Patreon. There's a ton of extra content, a whole extra, like we bring in guests, as Alex said. He was our most recent guest this episode, and that episode is freaking cool.
Yeah.
It was magical, to be honest.
Yeah, it was pretty dope. So definitely please check that out. And happy Teacher Appreciation Week. Also, we have a lot of teacher listeners. So
Cheers to you guys.
Cheers to you guys. Happy Teacher Appreciation Week to you guys. We know what you do every day, and it's a lot. So thank you.
That sounds so creepy. We know what you do every day. We've been watching you.
Yeah. You think this is a podcast? This is spyware that you've downloaded onto your device, and we're watching you through your front camera.
Every move you make, every breath you take, we'll be watching you.
Yeah, we will. All right, we breathalyzed and I blew a .059.
And I blew a .16, so you lost.
Hurry up.
Woo, okay. Before we begin this lesson, I would like to give a trigger warning. We will be talking about violent crimes and possible sexual assault, so proceed with caution. So I'm going first. This learning journey is taking us down a dark but interesting path. I really hope you haven't heard of this case before, but if you have, I'll understand.
I'm excited, and I want you to take me to a dark place because mine is super happy and light. So
Okay.
we can go down and we will come back up.
Right, we get a little whiplash.
Yeah.
All right. So a lot of my information was from an article in The Atlantic by Sarah Zhang. I will specifically cite that source at the end, but I don't want the title to give everything away. But I got most of my information from this article and backed it up from other sources. All right, well, let's get into it. Early in the morning on October 29th, 2006, two men in Longview, Texas spotted what they thought must have been an early Halloween prank. They thought that someone must have set a mannequin on fire.
It's never a mannequin, to quote my favorite murder.
No one has mannequins.
Yeah.
And if they do, they're a freak. It wasn't a mannequin, but they thought it was. It was on fire and it was still burning in the woods.
Oh, no.
It did not take long for them to realize it was no prank. It was not a mannequin.
That does not smell like a mannequin.
Has never been a mannequin. Yeah, I think in the article, I didn't cite this because I thought it was really gross, but since you brought up the smell, it was described as like burnt hot dog.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What does that smell like?
I don't know. I do not eat hot dogs. Like I eat meat, but I do not eat hot dogs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't eat hot dogs.
On a scale of 1 being like eating meat, or no, never mind. That doesn't make sense. I was gonna say basically like I don't eat hot dogs, so I'm a vegetarian. What? It made sense in my head, but like me trying to figure out what I was trying to say is not. It's something to revisit, not for right now.
And I'm a vegetarian, and I ain't fucking scared of him.
You have a shirt that's like, yes, I don't eat hot dogs. Yes, I'm a vegetarian. We do exist.
That's the only qualifier. It's like the unicorn of vegetarians.
I'm a hot dog-atarian. I only eat hot dogs.
It's like a wiener-tarian.
You're nasty.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You eat hot dogs? What about brats?
You know what I want? Is one of those apple and sage veggie sausages.
Why are those so good?
They're so fucking good.
It's kind of concerning how good they are.
I know.
Yeah. Okay, if you guys don't know what we're talking about, go to Kroger, whatever your freaking Giant Eagle, whatever your local grocery store is, and go to the vegetarian health nut section, and you'll find these. What are they? Applewood sage smoked sausages.
Yeah,
they're veggie sausage, and
they're
holy
next to
shit.
the Vegenaise and the kimchi. They're really fucking good.
How can you go wrong? Vegenaise, Applewood sausage, and kimchi, like
just buy all of it. Buy that whole section.
that's all you need for a good meal.
Yeah, you'll be broke afterward, but it's good.
Worth it. You fry up the sausage, you top it off with kimchi, and then just, I guess, slather the
know
Vegenaise
if I'd
on it.
want kimchi on Applewood smoked sausage, but you do you.
There's only one way to know. So stay
by
tuned.
putting it in my mouth.
Okay, so back to this mannequin. It was not a mannequin. It was a human, and whoever was there at the scene who like did this to this human, they had doused their body in gasoline and set it on fire. Like they could smell the gasoline. It was apparent. And they must have only left minutes before these two guys walked up and found their body. So it was really close. These two guys call the police, and the police arrive, and they took all the evidence that they could. Here's what they did know. She was young, between 17 to 25 years old. There was semen inside her, so they weren't sure if she was raped or not. She had blonde hair with strawberry highlights, and she had $40 cash in her pocket, and she was wearing a lavender top with jeans.
Cute.
Yeah, she was very cute. And so from her lavender top, from then on, she actually got the nickname Lavender Doe. Her teeth were perfect. That's one thing that will last throughout this entire case that people really noticed and latched onto. Like, she didn't have any cavities, no fillings. Like, people are like, maybe her dad or mom was a dentist because her teeth were like perfect.
Yeah.
And they were all still intact. She did have 2 baby teeth still, just an irrelevant fact of this case. So that was kind of weird too.
That is weird. You'd think if her family was dentists, they'd pull them.
Yeah. Oh, I got my baby teeth freaking pulled.
Yanked
hard. Yanked out. Literally, it flew across the room.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was always a fear of mine as a kid, that I'd go to the dentist and have to have a tooth pulled.
Oh my God. I freaking hated the dentist. One of my baby teeth was still hanging on, and the adult tooth had fully come in. So it was like shark teeth. It was like in a row. Yeah. It was nasty.
So you were not this girl.
No, I was absolutely not this girl.
Yeah.
Like, I went through so much with my teeth. I was like, I could have been that girl in Nemo, like the orthodontist niece.
Same. If they found my remains, they'd be like, well, she has 2 permanent retainers and 8 fillings and 6 cavities.
Yeah.
Cute.
Not this girl. Her teeth were perfect. But days went by. No one claimed her. No one knew who she was. Weeks went by, and then eventually years passed without anyone knowing anything about this young lady. So with no loved ones coming forward and no missing person report to match, Lavender Doe mystified people far and wide. And her case got picked up by these internet sleuths, and especially because they had found the suspect in the Golden State Killer case, thanks to, genealogy and all of that. And a ton of other victims had been identified since the practice of, taking that DNA. They thought maybe we could use this. More and more people were combining this traditional genealogy with DNA technology to solve these cold cases. So a bunch of regular self-taught people started helping police, as I'm sure many police officers were probably a little bit annoyed with all these internet people calling in and saying that they possibly had a tip. But just your average Joe started helping out the police with their jobs to identify criminals and victims. And a trend that we saw in the early 2000s and early 2010s was that they were getting these cases solved almost by the week by these internet sleuths. And the average person now had the ability and the confidence to try their hand at cracking any cold case given enough information. So the 3 internet sleuths that we're specifically focusing on are Kevin Lord. He's 35 years old, and he was studying to be a private investigator at the time when this case was a mystery. Missy Koski, 55 years old. She was a self-proclaimed search angel who helped adoptees find their biological parents. And Lori Gaff, who was 49 years old. She just freaking loved genealogy. She had an insane memory, and she loved true crime.
Cool.
So this was the power squad, and they were all volunteers for the DNA Doe project, which matched victims to their true identity. And these 3 just random people had been talking to each other on Facebook, exchanging ideas and discussing Lavender Doe's case for a long time, but they'd never met in person. And according to this Atlantic article, they were even able to trace the origins of this young woman they believed to be Lavender Doe back more than a century, all the way back to Europe.
Her genes?
Her genes.
Wow.
Yeah, and they did not stop there. They ended up getting more details about her life, going through public records and finding social media profiles. But with all the evidence they could find from the internet in hand, these 3 internet people, still not knowing exactly who she was, decided to meet up where her body was found. So Kevin, Missy, and Lori travel from all their different parts in the country to Longview, Texas, and they decide to try and work backwards from the very last place Lavender Doe was found, which is so crazy to me because can you imagine just meeting up with random people from the internet to try and crack this cold case?
I mean, without the cold case part, it sounds like all the podcasting friends we've made.
That's true.
I've never been a gamer or a chat room person. So until we started this podcast, I never had internet friends, but now I have internet friends.
Yeah.
And it feels like this, but this is obviously a much more serious.
It's another level to me.
This is definitely way more intense than
being let's get drinks in Long Beach.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're all searching together, and this is again in Longview, Texas. So Kevin is a main player in this story. One of his hobbies was trying to solve these unsolved mysteries. He loved to watch investigation discovery, and he was in the middle of trying to crack this case of 2 women who disappeared near where he lived when he ended up somehow that case and Lavender Doe's case crossed over. And that led him to Reddit and Facebook, where he saw people post their theories and discuss the evidence. And he was particularly interested in Lavender's case because of her perfect teeth. He was like, it's so weird. She's in her late teens or early 20s, but she had no cavities, no fillings. And one of the girls that he was looking for also had nearly perfect teeth, if not perfect, very distinct teeth.
Weird. Was she like Amish or something? Like not eating sugar?
I don't know. That's a great question.
I'm like, why would you have perfect teeth unless like you like didn't have like much sugar or something in your diet?
Yeah, I think that would do it, or like flossing would also do
Yeah,
it.
did you guys know that like all the Pompeii skeletons had perfect teeth?
Really?
And they realized they never ate sugar, so they all have like picture perfect teeth.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah, sugar really does it to you.
Yeah.
It's not
Oh,
good.
yeah. I have a big sweet tooth. And by sweet tooth, I mean I've had a lot of cavities filled.
Yeah.
All right. So Kevin's really interested in this case. And he was no half-asser with anything that he did. He worked really hard for these cold cases.
He was a full asser.
He was a full asser. He was like a full freaking nectarine, meaty asser, okay? And when he worked on these cold cases at home outside of his regular full-time job, he would collect and review court documents. He would obtain public records. He would even go and interview friends and family members of missing people, which is like completely outside of like the average person's realm. But he wasn't afraid to get down and dirty with it, really. And this is when he decided to pursue a career as a private investigator, which seems pretty fitting.
Right.
But it required an externship. So he decided that he would bring Lavender's case to the DNA Doe Project. So when he brings Lavender's case to the DNA Doe Project, they do accept it. And at the time, and even right now, you know, law enforcement, they're able to test DNA samples from unidentified bodies, really similar to services like 23andMe and Ancestry DNA. But the technology that the DNA Doe Project has is way better than what our law enforcement has, which was mind-blowing to me.
I mean, on one hand, it makes sense, but on the other hand, it makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's just fucking stupid. Also, if you're a cop, like, go to the other, like, email the other database, you know?
Yeah,
like,
just figure your shit out.
Oh, God, I hate...
I know, this is the capitalist, like, nation that we live in.
A shitty government that does not prioritize, like, violent crimes like this in order to get solved. Instead, they want to put people in jail for minor drug offenses to keep making money for the prison industrial system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other thing. So, law enforcement labs, they look at 13 to 20 DNA markers. Like, that's their realm. They can catch siblings or parents to a child. But with the technology that 23andMe and Ancestry DNA have, they look at all different kinds of markers. They test between 600,000 to 700,000 of them. Dang. So literally hundreds of thousands of more markers are tested than they do in our freaking law enforcement agencies. So that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
It gives us way more data. And, you know, you can make sure you're not marrying your first, second, third, fourth, or even like fifth cousin using this.
Nice.
Yeah, really helpful.
Yeah, Alec and I, we should get tested.
Yeah.
I've already had mine done. You need to get yours.
Look alike. Yeah, I should.
If you're going to get tested for anything, it should be your DNA.
And we're both German, so.
Wow.
Yikes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But your family, yeah, I guess maybe our families could have been related back in Europe. But like since coming to the US, your family has been like Southern and mine has been, I don't even know.
What would you do if you guys were fifth cousins? Would you go for it?
Probably keep dating.
I'd hang in there.
Yeah. I
feel like everyone's like pretty much fifth cousins.
Yeah, I wouldn't care.
Yeah, I don't think I would either. Where's the line though? Fourth,
maybe
third?
like in Game of Thrones when and found out they were half siblings. That would be tough to reconcile.
Spoiler alert.
Okay.
Also, I think
that show came out ages ago.
I think I know who gets the throne. It's it's one of right? It's
Hold on, are we gonna do a huge spoiler here?
I mean, I guess spoiler alert, but also
Hold on. I don't want to hear it.
What? You have never agreed to watch Game of Thrones with me.
No, I offered and you said, I've already watched it 3 times.
I'll restart because Haley gave up on it.
Whoa. I did not give up on it. We can keep watching, but I think I know who won based off of a meme that I saw.
I'm sure you know who won. It was
God damn it. We
Yeah.
were so close to not spoiling it.
Alec, that show is so old.
Yeah,
and
but
if you
I'm going to have
haven't,
to edit it out.
No, you
Don't
won't.
edit it out.
If they haven't watched Game of Thrones now, they're
Kat,
not going to
people
watch
care
Game of
about
Thrones.
spoilers just because you don't. You're in a minority.
We said spoiler alert. They could have skipped forward 15 seconds.
Well, I'm going to have to add another real spoiler alert.
No.
Yeah, before the spoil, because that was a spoiler.
You can't spoil multiple books and a show with like a joking spoiler alert. I'm being serious. People get pissed.
That is true.
I would be pissed if Game of Thrones had ended last year, but it ended 2 years ago.
I mean, people read really old books all the time. It doesn't take away what they learn from it.
I'll just bleep out the
name. In the books, that's not a spoiler for the books, because guess what? The books ended after like season 4. There's not a book for the last season. It's a spoiler for a show that's been out for a long time.
I'm just saying, when you know the resolution, it's not such a bad thing. But
everyone knows the resolution because of what Haley said.
Yeah,
there were memes all over the internet.
Yeah, on Instagram.
It's like spoiling Harry Potter. Like, oh,
Dang.
spoiler. Oh my God.
I know, Kat, but I'm just saying, just because you don't care about spoilers doesn't mean other people don't care about spoilers.
What I'm saying is this is one of the most popular shows of our generation, and if you don't know what happened, then you are living in a hole.
Here's the resolution. We'll put a spoiler at the top of everything being spoiled, and Alec can tell exactly how long you need to skip forward because he'll know in the editing.
Okay, if Alec wants to make more work for himself and put a spoiler alert in while he's editing, he can go ahead and do that, but I think that's freaking ridiculous. Am I gonna spoil that Dorothy got the ruby slippers and like kept them in the Wizard of Oz? That's not a spoiler.
Kat, you can't put a timer on people to consume media.
Yeah.
It's reasonable to have a spoiler. Just
Lord of the Rings came out like 50 years ago, but you can still spoil that for people.
No.
I think it's completely reasonable to put a spoiler alert at the top of a spoiler.
Yeah.
But it's not a spoiler.
Yes,
because it's Game of Thrones.
Kat, there are young people that are growing up that hear things out of sequence.
Okay, we can move on.
Oh my God.
I disagree, but okay.
You disagree that when Theo grows up, he will know exactly what happens on Game of Thrones?
I think he will, because it's such a part. It's literally like knowing the.
Oh my God. I
now,
don't know that.
I just watched The Godfather last weekend. That is a freaking crazy historical, everyone freaking knows about The Godfather, but I didn't know about it, and it was freaking put out in the 70s. And I just watched it in 2021. I had no idea what happened in it.
But would you be mad if someone spoiled a movie for you that was made in the 70s?
I would like to watch the movie and still have the feeling of wonder.
Yeah, some people actually enjoy consuming stories.
Okay, well, now I feel attacked and I don't want to be here anymore. So.
Yeah, but I haven't seen Harry Potter or read Harry Potter, and you just purposely spoiled it for me.
How do you not know what happens at the end of Harry Potter?
Because I don't know that.
I don't know that you don't know that. It's like the most obvious.
Right, but I'm just saying, Kat, that's what a spoiler is.
Okay, and I'm just saying I've been trying to get you to watch or read Harry Potter for the entire time I've known you, and you've never agreed to, so I don't really have sympathy for that.
The truth
I know you
out.
don't have sympathy. It's very clear.
Oh my God.
Is this our first fight?
No, Subway was your
I'm just
first
saying,
fight.
if you did not like spoiler alerts, I would not throw spoilers at you.
Okay. I just don't think that's a spoiler, and I stand by that.
The ending? Okay, we're moving on.
I also don't know what happens at the end of Harry Potter.
Oh my God. Who am I friends with?
Well, I think you just have to keep in mind that some people don't do the same things you do, and perspective is good.
Yeah, and some people feel different things than you.
Well,
this is a foreign concept, I know.
No,
my God, you guys are so mean. I'm gonna cry. I'm still not
cry.
sorry.
That goes without saying.
Okay, Claudia. This is Claudia Severa right now. That's who we're talking to.
Sure.
Oh, it's definitely Claudia Severa.
This is the difference between an ENTP and two ENFPs. We feel stories. So when a sequence of a story is ruined, it interrupts the emotional flow. If you don't have those feelings, it's irrelevant to you.
But if someone spoiled a story for me that had been out for years, I wouldn't be upset because it's so much a part of popular culture that it's just like this. It's like if you didn't know 9/11 happened and I was like 9/11 happened, that was a bad analogy. If like think of a more positive. Never mind.
Okay, so glad we both took in really bad analogies.
It's like a historical event. If you didn't know that I don't know.
We can move on. A
war happened, and I'm like, oh, this war happened. Would you tell me that's a spoiler?
No, that's completely different.
Yes, but
that's the tale of time versus fictional
I'm
stories.
talking about fictional stories
that people read and take part in for pleasure.
I can tell that we're never going to agree. This is how I talk to my students. I can tell that this is just something that we don't see eye to eye on, and we can just take a deep breath and we can agree that we're not going to agree, and that's okay. And we can move on and keep talking about what we were talking about before.
As someone who has to have the last word, I must say that for someone who has so much perspective in most situations, you're being crazy.
I love that take that I'm not spoiling Game of Thrones because I have seen Game of Thrones.
No,
that is the most egotistical take I've ever heard.
That's not what I said. I said I'm not spoiling Game of Thrones because it is a hugely popular show that ended 2 years ago. So you have seen the tweets.
Make media relevant again.
If you were spoiling a show that just came out last week, that would be different. If you were spoiling, so a Bachelorette.
Your argument is invalid because you look ahead to spoilers while watching shows that are still in motion, such as The Bachelor.
Okay, that's my next point. Bachelor spoilers exist. If before the episode comes out, you know who won because you looked at something Reality Steve posted. Also, fuck Reality Steve, but that's a different story for another day. If you know who won The Bachelor before that episode aired, and you told people that's a spoiler.
And you do that. You did that to me.
No, I didn't. What are you talking about?
You'd say, "Oh, and guess what? Gets the rose tonight."
And then you would be like,
know.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah, because you'd say, "Well, you should have been on Twitter."
Okay, well, if you are all wondering, in what way am I a bad person? Now you know. You're just like, oh, Kat's so perfect. She's so perfect. All her best friend and her boyfriend love her so much. Well,
we do.
I'm glad that you've had this illusion shattered for you, and you know my greatest shortcoming, which is that I love telling people spoilers and ruining their dreams. And Alec and I are now broken up, and Haley's no longer talking to me. And I hoped you enjoyed this podcast while it lasted because it's done.
This is also the problem with the ENTP versus ENFPs, because ENTP is known as the debater, where you dig in and you feel like I have to debate and defend my perspective. And so this is what happens.
I kind of feel like you guys were the ones doing that in this situation.
Let's debate about who wants to debate.
I gotta admit, I don't think I was debating you guys.
Oh my God. I also we have me gaslighting you guys recorded for everyone to hear, so that's fun. I hope I'm still not going to say I'm sorry.
I don't know how I'm going to edit this down, but it'll be a job.
I don't think you need to.
Okay. I'm just going to bleep out parts.
I really don't care. Just maybe take out my 9/11 reference.
Yeah.
And Kat goes up to a 5-year-old and is like, hey, 9/11 happened. And you look at me, you're like, see, nobody cares.
You're
and the kid's
trigger
crying.
warning.
Whoa. Kids these days don't know about 9/11 like we know about 9/11.
And so are adults in school spoiling it for them when they...
That's different. Still, that's different, Kat.
I'm just kidding. I know it's different. Can we move on? This is going to
Yeah.
be the world's longest episode. I haven't even started mine yet, and it's like 7 pages.
Yeah.
All right. Transitioning back from what just happened. When Lavender was okay, let me get my somber mode here because
when Lavender was being burned alive.
Spoiler alert, she's dead.
All right, cut all that out.
Yeah. Coming back to reality, when Lavender was originally found, they tested the semen and it was a fucking match. It was a match to this guy who, in my opinion, spoiler alert, he sounds like a freaking skis ball. His name is Joseph Wayne Burnett.
Anyone with the name Wayne in their middle name is a serial killer.
There's so much name hate on this show.
I just think of John Wayne Gacy, and now we've got this motherfucker.
Spoiled it. I
just spoiled that John Wayne Gacy is a serial killer. That would be akin to me, quote unquote, spoiling the end of Harry Potter.
Yeah, like God freaking, if you are into that kind of thing, wrote out John Wayne Gacy's life, and he's like, this one is a serial killer. Here's what he did. He was a clown, but like
also
add a little spice.
Oh God.
Okay. Well, his name was Joseph Wayne Burnett, and the police bring him in, and he admits to picking up a random woman for sex, but tells them nothing more. And they didn't get him for that. He walks free because the police do their job.
Yeah, I picked up a random woman for sex and then murdered her because she's a sex worker and I felt like I could.
Right. I picked up a woman for random sex because my name is Joseph Wayne Burnett. This message is endorsed by, I don't know.
And then I killed her because my middle name is Wayne, and that's what people with the middle name of Wayne do.
Spoiler alert, if you name your child anything with Wayne, you're fucked.
Also, I don't think I've ever met a Wayne in real life, so in my mind, it's just a serial killer.
Yeah, I don't think I have either.
Yeah.
Well, in the summer of 2018, another woman involved with this Wayne man disappears.
Shock.
They find this other woman buried in what one can assume was a shallow grave. They only spotted her because her purple fingernail was standing up from the leaves.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Also, there's a very purple theme.
I know. What does purple mean? What's the theme around purple? Because it's in this.
When I got my aura read and it was purple, they said it was like really rare and it meant I was really depressed.
Well, spoiler alert, that's fitting. So,
cool.
No, not for you, for this story.
They said that like a lot of people have a purple aura around their true aura because they're depressed, but my whole aura was purple.
Oh my God.
I know.
You're a sad girl.
I know. It was purple mixed with pink though. So.
I wonder what your aura is right now. I'm getting yellow.
I know. I think I have a different aura because when I got that reading, I was really depressed, but now I'm not.
Yeah. I was looking back on pictures today and I was like, wow, that was, I would have had a purple aura. And it makes you feel good to like be recording here with your best friends arguing about dumb shit.
Yeah, things are good now.
Things are good now. Yeah.
It gets better, y'all.
I've felt that purple aura.
I'm going to become a clinical psychologist. And when I diagnose people with depression, instead of saying you have clinical depression, I'm going to say, you got a purple aura.
Your aura? Yeah, it's purple. Spoiler alert, you're depressed. Clinically. Why are we laughing? I don't know.
You gotta laugh.
You gotta laugh. Laugh so you don't cry.
Yeah.
All right. So in the summer of 2018, this other woman disappears. She's found dead tragically. Obviously, this Burnett guy killed this woman and Lavender, obviously, but he actually admits to it all this time. He's like, I killed them. I don't know who this random girl was, but it was like a random act of violence and it happened in this Walmart parking lot. And I have a quote from this Atlantic article because I really had no good way to paraphrase it. I just thought it was the perfect summation of everything. So in his confession, he had said that Lavender came up to him selling magazines. He didn't want them. Then she tried to sell him some lingerie out of a magazine. He didn't want that. She asked if she could get in the truck with him. He let her in. She agreed to have sex, according to Burnett, but stole money from him. That's why he allegedly strangled her, but left the $40 in her pocket. Because that's the money she earned, he said.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What a sicko.
Completely sick. I do not have an update on that entire situation at this point in time. So Joseph Wayne Burnett is a fucking sicko. He admits to this murder in questioning, but even days after this revelation, this connection of where she was and maybe a part of who she was, no one is coming forward. We still don't know the real name of Lavender Doe. But backtracking a little bit, that guy, Kevin, the internet sleuth, he had petitioned for DNA Doe Project to take on Lavender Doe's case. So they did. They uploaded her DNA to GED match or GED match. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but she had thousands of matches. And that seems like it's pretty normal because, you know, everyone's kind of related at some level. Most of them are way too far away to be helpful, but there was this one match that they were really interested in. It was a second cousin once removed, and they also had some third and fourth cousins. The volunteers at DNA Doe Project started building family trees to see how they could make the connection to Lavender's identity. She had a lot of Czech ancestry. They were able to track down baptism records and the original Czech that had immigrated to the United States. With the United States. It allowed them to connect two of Lavender's distant ancestors, which then allowed them to identify another descendant from those ancestors. They stumbled upon a woman in her late 50s living in Texas, about 30 miles from where Lavender was found dead. So the DNA Doe Project let the police know, and then they all head to this woman's house to talk to her. But when they get there, she answers the door and they explain to her, like, hey, we found this woman. We went through all this DNA testing and genealogy, and you're connected to this person. Like, can you help us? Do you know what we're talking about? She's like, it's like crickets. She has no idea what they're talking about. She doesn't know of anyone missing in her family. And she was not excited about police being on her doorstep.
No, I wouldn't be either.
Yeah, I'd be like, this is a scam. Get the fuck out of here.
Bye.
Luckily, they were able to better explain the DNA Doe Project to her, and miraculously, she let her guard down and even agreed to let the volunteers compare her DNA to Lavender's, which is insane to me because I'm not trying to give out my DNA. I mean, I guess if they explained it properly.
Yeah, I'd do it.
Yeah.
Like, what do you have to lose?
At
from
first
that?
glance, it'd be scary. But yeah. And it was no doubt these two were related. They were most likely first cousins once removed, meaning that Lavender Doe was probably a child of this woman's cousin. But she didn't even know of a cousin who would have a child of Lavender's age.
Maybe like given up for adoption.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of families have been able to discover all of these mysteries that they didn't even know about within a family that come from affairs, secret past marriages, secret adoptions, sperm donations. So the volunteers at DNA Doe Project went looking for this family member that would link this woman in Texas and Lavender. They did not find any cousins who had any children that matched Lavender's missing status, but they did find an uncle of the woman in Texas who had a daughter named Robin. The woman had no clue again about this daughter, Robin, because she was from this uncle's previous marriage. If this is all like muddy and murky for you, don't worry. It's about to all make sense. You don't need to understand all the ins and outs in the family tree.
Yeah, I've consumed a very large glass of wine since starting.
Yeah.
And
just smile and wave. Anyway, they find this woman who's related to the woman in Texas. The woman they found her name is Robin. Okay. So they're like, okay, we think that Robin is related to Lavender. And they're kind of narrowing in on Lavender at this point. So they start looking into Robin. They actually find her death certificate from Indiana. She died at 50 years old in 2006, a month before Lavender was found.
Oh, that would make... actually, that wouldn't. If she was put up for it, I was like, oh, that makes sense why it didn't get reported. But if she wasn't even in contact with her, I guess it wouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a variety of situations. But the volunteers did piece together what they could of Robin's life so that they could get a better idea. It seemed as though she struggled with substance abuse, and that's just because she had multiple arrests. She had a handful of different husbands, and it just seemed like her life was kind of all over the place. They had to keep digging to find out what they could that would hopefully lead them to Lavender's identity. So they saw all of these husbands that Robin had, and they found all the marriage certificates and they laid them all out, but they also suspected that she had an unlisted or unofficial marriage, because after a certain point in time, her name would sometimes appear as Robin Wilma Dodd, but she was never they couldn't find the certificate for anyone with the last name Dodd. And they were like, okay, maybe this is a lead. This seems kind of weird. So again, our internet sleuth Kevin searches the name Robin Wilma Dodd in Google, and it's a match. They find out that this woman, Robin, had been living with a man named Johnny Dodd. So they're like, all right, let's check out Johnny Dodd. Turns out he has a daughter. His daughter is Lavender's age.
Whoa.
So this is where the case really cracks open.
Oh my God, does she have perfect teeth and she's her twin?
It's a twin! Kevin searches the daughter's name in the database for private investigators, and he sees that her social security card is no longer active. It had not been active since the year Lavender was found dead. So
okay.
It's looking like this daughter of Johnny and Robin is Lavender.
Okay.
He also is able to find out that this daughter has half siblings from one of Dodd's previous marriages. And, it's those children have children now. They're all grown. He ends up searching their names across the internet, and he comes across someone's MySpace page. They think that this is the nephew of Lavender Doe. And within the connections in that MySpace page, they find the profile page for what they thought was Lavender Doe.
Oh.
Yeah. In her profile picture, the girl is hugging a dog and her hair is strawberry blonde with highlights and perfect teeth. So it was her. It was pretty clear. They tipped off the police and helped them connect all the dots officially. The volunteers who helped solve her case visited her gravesite in this small cemetery when they went back to Longview to kind of retrace their steps and to solve the entire thing. They even went live on Facebook because an entire community on Facebook was committed to figuring out who Lavender Doe was. To go into some really brief details about the actual crime and who she was, her real name was Dana Lynn Dodd. Her DNA confirmed that she was 21 years old when her body was found. Her killing happened exactly like Joseph had described it. He did kill her. I don't really know why. I don't think we ever will. It seemed like really a random act of violence. Who knows what was going on there in that Walmart parking lot. But thanks to this journalist, Sarah Zhang, she went and interviewed a lot of Dana Lynn Dodd's family members. And we know that Dana had a really turbulent upbringing. Her mom left when she was really young, and her dad left after, like, not long after that too. So she ended up being raised for maybe 10 years or so by a stepmom. I don't know if the dad was still involved or what, but the situation was not great. She was raised by a bunch of different people. Her mother and father, after leaving, she's left with this stepmom in Arizona. But when she was 14 years old, her stepmom sent her to Florida to stay with her half sister. It had just gotten to be too much. So before that, she had only met her half sister 2 times. So she moves in with her half sister, Amanda, and she took her in. Amanda, her half sister at the time, was a young mom herself. She did the best she could, but angsty teenagers.
Yeah, it'd be tough to be a 14-year-old being raised by someone in their 20s.
Yeah. It did not work out well. She did push the boundaries, and I'm sure Amanda felt overwhelmed herself. So Dana was pushed again onto someone else to live with her older half-brother, and she didn't stay there long either. She was getting in a lot of trouble. There was weed, pills, a bad boyfriend, fighting, some arrests. She had dropped out of high school and moved in with a best friend. They were on drugs, doing them together. Her best friend ended up getting pregnant and wanted to keep the baby and get clean, but Dana wasn't mentally ready, so she moved out and hit the road. She started selling magazines with one of those like traveling magazine door-to-door sales crews. Apparently, I learned in my research, these groups are often pretty dangerous. They have a lot of drugs and violence that's kind of like
magazine sales crews?
Yeah. I didn't go too into it.
I didn't even know that was something that existed.
Yeah, in the early 2000s.
And they're wild.
They're wild. Yeah. I think that's how they make a lot of their money, is like getting people sucked in, like getting to invest in it. Yeah, just really sketchy.
Like sketchy. I thought you were going to say they sold drugs along with the magazine store to door.
Oh my God.
That sounds like a pretty good business opportunity.
They just like slip some like Coke or something into that. Right. You wouldn't even notice in the magazine. But yeah, it was a bad situation for her. She obviously needed more support than what she was getting, but that's how she ended up in the Walmart parking lot. She went to sell this guy magazines. He didn't buy it. She tried to sell him lingerie, and then she resorted to working as a sex worker, which there's nothing wrong with that.
But this sounds like survival sex
yes,
work.
It was
that's
survival
tough.
mode for sure. So that is the honestly terrible learning journey about this young woman, Dana Dodd, and her tragic end. I'm so sorry that y'all came with me on this journey.
No, it was fascinating. And it is so nice that there is closure. Like, thank God for these volunteers who were able to, put this together.
Yeah, that's what was so interesting and drew me into this story, was that it was completely put together and solved by these internet people.
Yeah.
So again, a lot of this information came from an article from The Atlantic titled "What It Means to Name a Forgotten Murder Victim" by Sarah Zhang, and the Wikipedia page for Dana Dodd. All the other sources, I did read more, but it was all supported by these 2 sources. So that's my learning journey.
Thank you for that learning journey. Great job.
Thanks. I feel so heavy. Oh my gosh.
We're going to bring it right back up. But first, let's hear a word from our sponsor.
All right. As you all know, or if you don't, I will let you know, We are partnered with 7th Hill CBD. This is not your average CBD company. This company is really special because they do everything themselves. They produce all of their own hemp in their own farm in Southern Oregon. Their passion really shines through this work, and we love everything they do.
I am a huge fan of their Unwind CBD oil. I take it in my sleepy time tea before I go to bed. And sometimes when I'm feeling a little extra spicy, I might eat one of their CBD Unwind caramels before bed. It does chill you out with those lavender terpenes. But I am so excited about a new product that is coming to their website called their Sleep Caramel. This one is extra exciting because it has a new type of cannabinoid in it called CBN. And CBN is very, very similar to CBD. It has most of the same effects, but it really has this sedation effect on your body. It's not THC. The CBN is not THC. It does not make you feel high like THC does, but it does just kind of really relax your body and give you that great relaxation on top of the CBD that's also in this caramel that has those pain-killing and anti-anxiety effects, along with the small bit of THC that is in 7th Hill's products that really opens your cannabinoid system receptors and lets you pull in as much of this CBD and CBN as possible.
Wow. Everyone needs and deserves that good sleep. And obviously, 7th Hill CBD's new caramel is meant to help you out with that. So if you enjoy sleep like we do, we've got a little something special for you. You can use the code NIGHTCLASSY to get 20% off your order at 7thhillcbd.com. That is all spelled out. 7thhillcbd.com. Use the code NIGHTCLASSY to get 20% off, and look out for that new caramel.
Also, if you have a CBD retailer near you, it might be in the retail store. They have their products in Knoxville, Tennessee. Check it out. But, you should probably shop online so you can use our promo code.
Oh, yes.
We promise you'll love it. Welcome to Miss Barnhart's room. Walk to your desk, take out your pencil, and start your bell work because I got a lesson for you today.
What's the bell work?
There's not actually any bell work. You just have to sit quietly and listen to me while I tell you this. Keep doing your laundry or driving your car, whatever you do while you listen to podcasts. So I'm not going to tell you what this lesson is right off the bat. I'm going to start out with a little story. About 10 years ago, a woman called the Houston Police Department to report a crime that had happened. She said she knew of a house where a mass murder occurred. She told police that in this house, which she gave the address of, they would find dozens of dismembered bodies, including children. Texas Chainsaw Massacre style carnage.
Like humans?
Yes.
I'm just picturing it being I don't know, turkeys or something.
No, human bodies. And she's telling them this, and they're like, well, how do you have this information? And she said that she received it in a psychic vision. She was able to give a detailed layout of the house, and police were kind of taking her seriously. They have to act on every tip. So they sent someone out to this location to see what they could see. And when they got to the house, they smelled strong decomposition and saw blood on the ground outside.
Ooh.
So they're like, shit. This is real. So they called reinforcements, helicopters, news crews show up. It's a big fucking deal. And they went inside. And inside the house, they found nothing.
Even though there's blood outside and the smell?
The blood outside had been from a previous drunken incident, the week before. And the smell of decomp was meat rotting in the freezer. Animal meat, not human.
What?
Yeah. So the woman's claims were not true, and she was not a psychic. People fake being psychic mediums all the time. There is money to be made in this industry, attention to be gained, as in this case, or just straight up delusion. there's especially money to be made when preying upon people's grief and claiming to contact dead loved ones. According to one study, there are 95,000 psychic-related businesses in the U.S., and they generate nearly $2 billion per year in revenue.
I'm so happy right now.
This one's fun, y'all. And I believe in psychics, but there are also a lot of fakes out there. So just disclaimer. Home psychics, celebrity psychics, psychic hotlines, psychics that have big events like the Long Island Medium. This is their job. They're all making money. And, you know, when you go to see a psychic, you understand that it might not be real. There's really no way to prove whether it's real or not. So it's really yours for the taking. If you're great at reading people and a great performer, you may as well capitalize on this, at least in your own mind. Again, I believe some psychics do have abilities. You might not. That's fine. I mean, we can't prove it either way. But the fact is, there are a lot of fakes. And that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Ooh, fake psychics.
Yes.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to do like psychics. A history.
No, we're talking about the fake ones.
Oh, hell yeah.
We're gonna bust some fake ones. We're gonna have some fun here.
Are we talking any more about the Long Medium Island?
The Long Island Medium? No. Teresa.
The Long Medium Teresa Caputo.
Yeah, Teresa Caputo. No, we're not talking about her. I actually came to this lesson because I started researching her and I just felt like it wasn't interesting enough, so I broadened the scope. And we're actually not going to talk about Teresa anymore today, maybe in the future.
Well, do you think she's real or fake?
I think she's a big fucking fake.
I don't know what to think.
I know.
I feel like she is fake, but I feel like something about her is real. I want to believe.
Maybe she thinks what she's doing is real, but I don't.
Her husband definitely does. I'll tell you that.
Or they're just performers, and
aren't we all?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know. So I want to start out this lesson with a quote from an article called 7 Tricks Psychics Bullshit People With That Everyone Should Know by Joe Oliveto.
That was a lot.
Joe Oliveto. I know.
First of all.
We don't need...
Spoiler alert, that was a lot.
It's a long title. He probably could have shortened it. We don't need to pick on Joe Oliveto. But he has a good quote in here. So, quote, all right, let's do a psychic reading right now. I'm getting the sense that you are the type of person who places great value on being liked and admired. At times, you can be prone to doubting whether or not you've made the right choices in your life. You can be extremely critical of yourself. You aren't a perfect person, but for the most part, you've made up for your weaknesses. You've got a lot of potential that has not been used to your advantage yet. You're an independent thinker. To a certain degree, you need some change in your life. Too many restrictions make you uncomfortable, but that said, finding security is one of your main goals. There have been times when social anxiety has been a problem for you. Does any of that resonate with you?
I mean, yeah, all of it probably resonates with everyone.
Exactly.
Being a freaking fake psychic is like being a tightrope walker.
Yes, exactly. So you can make all these general statements that kind of like go back and forth. They oscillate. Like, you're an independent thinker, you need change, but also like you want security. Like, that can relate to anybody. And that's because of something called the Forer effect, which is a technique that a lot of people use. So this comes from a psychologist named Bertram Forer, who had these college students, and he gave them a personality profile test. At the end of this personality profile test, everyone was given the same profile, regardless of how they answered the test. They were then asked to rate how accurate their profile was, and the vast majority of students said it was very accurate.
Oh my God.
I know.
Okay, when I was in college, this is reminding me, I was really lit one night, and I was with a group of friends, and there was like someone that I didn't know that well, and him and I were talking, and we were like all pretending like to read each other, I guess. Like, she was like, what are your first impressions of me? And I just started spouting bullshit, and he was like, oh my God, like, I feel like you really know me.
He wanted to sleep with you, Haley.
There was no chance, and he knew it.
Still, doesn't matter. You just get me. You're so insightful. Are you an empath?
It's funny how, people will be like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I'm just myself around you. I don't know what it is. I know we just met, but...
Is that how we became friends? You were just like, look at that fucking empath. I could...
No, I was just like, she's a real one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I have freaking notes from the time that we went and saw Miss Monica, the psychic. Like, as soon as I got out, I was like, I need to write down everything I said, and they're on my phone.
Yeah, I don't remember anything she said, but I'm pretty sure it was like, I have one note in here somewhere that's like, if you walk away from a meeting with a psychic feeling like more confused and like you have less answers, they were a fake psychic.
Okay. Like, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. And that's how I felt after Miss Monica. I'm like, what is all this weird random shit that she just told me?
She just confirmed things that I already felt and knew.
Yeah. She was like, you guys should be here in Memphis teaching. And we're like, yeah, thank you for that validation.
Yeah. She was like, you need to break up with that guy. And I was like, yeah, I do.
You're like, yeah, my friend Kat's been telling me that for ages. So it's crazy that you have said that.
Right after you had gotten done, like being like, oh my God, my friend Haley, here's what you need to tell her.
I think you went before
I
me.
did. But it'd be funny if you went in there and you were like laid out everything.
Anyway, so these students said that their test results were very accurate. And in a different test, students were given 2 separate profiles, one real and one fake. And most of them actually thought that the fake profile was the real one because it was written in this way that was very general and, could apply to anybody. The key is making a lot of rapid fire but vague statements to kind of like confuse you and like you can latch on and relate to something. Also, most of the statements are positive, which makes you want to relate to it, but there's like a few like slight negative ones to just make it more believable. And, this is a trick psychics use. They give you a lot of positive information that you're inclined to agree with. And then the negative statements are vague. Like, for example, in that example I read in the beginning, he said, at times, social anxiety has been a problem for you in life. He didn't say you have clinical anxiety.
I would feel better about that diagnosis, honestly.
Well, of course you would feel better about the vague one.
You get me. No, not about the vague one.
Oh.
I would be much more glad if someone was like, you have social anxiety. Here's some medication.
Maybe if a psychiatrist told you that, but probably not a psychic. Also,
no.
like a lot
Literally
of people.
Anyone.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Well, that's just you. A lot of people like don't have clinical social anxiety. So if they were told that by a psychic, they'd be like, what? But everyone has had some social anxiety at some point.
Exactly. Yeah.
Another trick psychics will use is getting you to tell them the important information and then building off of that. So they might start out the session by saying that, spiritual messages can be vague and I might need your help interpreting what comes through. This primes you to help out. So if they're saying like, ooh, I see the letter C, you might say, oh, do you mean K? And, this just really helps them with their fake session. A real psychic won't do this. They'll be able to get the information on their own.
That's like me being like sounding out beginning words with my preschoolers. And I'm like showing them a kite. I'm like, what's the beginning sound? Like, what's the letter? And they're like, I'm seeing a letter C. Like, how about letter K?
Oh my God, that was me today. We've been getting ready for the TCAP Tennessee State test, and we go over the problems and like, is this a division, multiplication, subtraction, or addition problem? And they're like, multiplication. I'm like, do you mean it starts with the D and it ends with vision?
How about the opposite?
Yeah. A fake psychic might also, say things that could easily apply to anyone statistically. For example, I'm getting a male figure. He died of something heart-related. Well, the leading cause of death worldwide is heart disease. So chances are someone who died of something heart-related. Saying these vague, generic things also lets them backtrack if they mess up. For example, if a claim doesn't fit, like mentioning your mother, but your mother is still alive, they can be like, oh, well, maybe it's someone who knew your mother very well. They're just kind of playing this back and forth, feeling you out, seeing what sticks kind of a game. They might also look for little clues like wedding rings, tattoos, scars, something they can go off of. Like if you have a wedding ring, you probably have felt love before, and you might also like have felt extreme stress before, and they can pick up on that.
We should go see a psychic completely dressed up like not as ourselves.
Yeah, do a whole sting operation.
Yeah, on the inside.
Yes. And actually, this lesson ends with a story about an entire psychic sting operation. So we can take some notes. I know, it's really cool. I'm excited. But first, we got to cover this. So another way fake psychics will kind of read you is they'll read your expressions and reactions. They'll make a statement and see how you respond with your face or body language and then adjust what they say accordingly. And some people can do this really, really fast, like so fast you don't even realize they're doing it. There's a magician named Keith Barry who is an expert at this. And he's so good. He truly appears to be reading people's minds. He doesn't claim to be a psychic. He's just a magician reading body language. But this is a strategy that a lot of psychics use. And there's a TED Talk where he did this, and he guessed an audience member's ex-boyfriend's name in literally like 3 seconds.
What?
Based on her body language and how she was responding to the things he was saying. And we're going to watch this clip. But just watch this and see how, like, if he had branded himself as a psychic, you would believe it, because it's just wild the way he was able to do this.
Think of his name. Have you got his name? Mm-hmm. Okay, think of how many letters are in the title of his name. Think how many letters in the title. There's 5 letters in the title. You didn't react to that, so there's 4 letters in the title. Think of one of the letters in the title. Think of one of the letters as a K in his name. There's a K. See the way I knew that? Because my name starts with a K also, but his name doesn't start with a K, it starts with an M. Tell Mike I said hello the next time you see him. Was that his name? Mm-hmm. Okay, give her a round of applause.
What the heck?
You have to watch this whole TED Talk. I was watching it, like I watched the whole thing, and I was just like, my jaw was on the floor the entire time.
That's great. I'm interested now. When he was guessing the name, her head would just go like up and down. I have no idea. I mean, Mike is a common name, but to just pull that out of thin air. And he was like, and I know that because my name has a K in it.
And he was doing things with his hands. The whole idea and like what he says is he's just reading the way her eyes and her body respond to certain things he says. And I don't know, like it's just he's extremely skilled at reading people.
And he wasn't afraid to fail either, which is huge, because he said it has 5 letters in it. Oh, wait, no, that's wrong, because it must have 4 letters in it.
Right, and that's what we just went over with what psychics do. They'll throw something out there, see how you respond, and then adjust it.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did.
Mm-hmm.
He's smooth.
Yeah,
He's
so
smooth with it.
He could be marketing himself as a psychic, and people would probably believe it. But all he's doing is reading her, just in the way that a skilled person can. It's not psychic intervention. It's just being really observant. But, not all psychics do this. Some get kind of lazy, and there's an even easier way to gather information about your client, and that is by stalking their social media.
Yep, there it is. Okay, the moment we've all been waiting for.
Yes. This tactic has gotten super popular, especially for performing psychics that do their shows in front of audiences. And a woman named Susan Gerbic noticed this and decided to take action. This is the part of this lesson that I really love. So we're going to really get into Susan and what she does. Susan was a JCPenney baby photographer.
Oh,
I know.
Wow. I remember going, well, maybe not as a baby, but I remember going to get pictures taken like that.
Oh,
at,
me
like,
too.
JCP.
Mall pictures.
Oh, yeah. You sit on the blocks.
Yes, the blocks. The primary colored foam blocks. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
It was always the worst fucking day. Like, you were so mad at your mom, and you'd have to wait in the waiting room. And
the pictures aren't even that cute either.
No.
Like, it's obviously staged, but it looks obviously staged.
Yeah.
It's just bad all around. I'm so glad photography has seemingly evolved in the past 20 years.
Evolved, and like you know, like back then there weren't good quality cameras. I mean, unless you spent a lot of money for a good quality film camera. Now you can just take pictures of your kid on your phone, but back then you'd have to go to the fucking mall and sit on some nasty blocks that 1,000 other kids had sat on.
Yeah, or even like Meyer. And it's not like these people were experienced. Like my stepmom just snapped pictures at like Meyer. Like she's not a freaking photographer, but she had that job. So yeah, there was no artistic
they weren't
ability.
Nice. It was like Santa pictures. Like they're just like taking snapshots.
Yeah, take a picture, now give me $50.
Right. Yeah, it always sucked. And they'd make you like hug and kiss your sibling and you'd be like, I don't want to fucking hug and kiss you.
Yeah.
Anyway, she would end up leaving that job to go full time with her hobby, which was busting fake psychics.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. I thought you were going to say she was going to be a fake psychic, but I forgot this was the girl. Okay.
She was not. She is very anti-fake psychic. She feels like they take advantage of people's grief and like they're leeches.
Do you know how she feels about real psychics?
She does not believe in real psychics.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's just anti-psychics.
She's she is anti-paranormal, like urban myth. She's just like does not believe in that stuff and has dedicated a lot of her time to debunking. So she found herself, she'd been interested in this kind of thing for a while. And in 2009, she found herself on a cruise to Mexico. And this cruise was specifically for skeptics. So she was part of all these skeptic groups and they went on a cruise together.
Wow, squad up. Like,
right. I didn't realize this was a whole community, but apparently it is.
Cruises together.
Yeah. Like
we should go on a cruise.
We should absolutely go on a cruise. And the last cruise I ever want to go on is a cruise for skeptics.
Hell no. This is a dry blankets cruise that we're going on.
Yeah. Dry blankets. Dry blankets only.
AKA Alec and Tommy are not going with us.
Yeah. Definitely not. And it's kind of funny because we'll get to it in a second, but like she ends up like bitching about how like everyone on the cruise like is annoying and like I don't know. We'll get to it.
What are you trying to say?
No, like on her skeptic cruise, like people who are skeptics are annoying, which shock. Anyway, so she's on this cruise and she meets a man named Edward. And Edward was a mentalist magician. He was a performer. He did what Keith Barry does. He could appear to read people's minds, but does not claim to have any psychic powers. Susan and Edward found themselves bitching together about how like they hated fucking psychic groups because they felt like these psychic groups were just like circle jerks of people saying like none of it's real and patting each other on the back for thinking that, but they weren't taking any action. Susan and Edward wanted to take action and prove that psychics weren't real. They didn't want to just sit there and talk about it with people that agreed with them.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. But at the same time, I'm like, are they hurting people in the grand scheme of things?
I mean, just like how I feel when people are anti-science, it's just like, come on, get yourself together. Like, don't you want to be intelligent? And I think that's how they feel about people who believe in psychic mediums and ghosts and things like that.
I guess they took it a bit more seriously than I do because it's like a fun thing that I like could believe in.
Right. It's not harming anyone. But I mean, they feel like these psychics are harming people because they really go after like these celebrity psychics who do these like stadium shows. And, you know, I mean, you've seen the Long Island Medium, like they go after people like her who go down and like prey on people who have lost a loved one and who are sobbing and kind of capitalize on their grief. And they really feel like this is wrong.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. So they're trying to do something good. They're not just rude.
They're not just like, you're stupid and here's why.
Exactly. And you'll see the way they go about this. It's definitely interesting.
Oh no, I'm scared.
What they wanted to do was come up with a way to make the audience members realize the psychics they were seeing were frauds come to that realization on their own. Because if they just stood out on the street and told people going into the psychic shows that the psychic was fake, they'd probably just dismiss them. People are much more willing to believe something if they feel like they found it.
Yeah, definitely.
So they started thinking of ideas on how to make that happen. They started out in an interesting way.
Oh no, I'm like bracing myself as if something physical is going to happen to me.
It's pretty extreme.
Problems.
Yeah. It's extreme. So Edward started this out. And in 2009, he went to a psychic named Sylvia Brown's show. Sylvia Brown had recently done this very publicized reading for Linda McClellan's daughters. Linda McClellan was a missing person. And in this reading, Sylvia told the daughters that their mother was alive and in Florida.
That's wrong.
Yeah. So this is why they hate psychics.
Yeah, that's
because of
fucked
shit
up.
like this.
I'm just picturing like Miss Monica, the psychic we went and saw, being like, "You're doing good."
Yeah, they didn't go after psychics like that. And I did read, like in my research, I read about psychics. Like I read this one interview that was like an interview of a fake home psychic, much like Miss Monica. And I'm not trying to slander Miss Monica. I don't know if she's real or fake, but this psychic was doing what Miss Monica was doing, like doing psychic readings in her home. And she was like, yeah, I never give anyone like anything concrete. I never claim to be talking to their dead loved ones. I just kind of like talk about their life and tell them what they need to hear in the moment. And I don't feel like I'm doing anything wrong.
And that's good enough.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anyone should ever fully lean on a psychic and what they're saying.
But like the problem is like psychics can be very exploitative, especially like on like hotline psychics. People lose a lot of money to those.
Yeah.
They are problematic.
Yeah.
And I don't want to blame like a struggling at home, like a single mom who like is an empath and like does this as a side hustle. Like that's not the kind of people I'm attacking. And these people who are busting psychics don't like people like Sylvia Brown, who is preying on people's loss, which this is the case. So Sylvia, like I said, told these daughters that their mother was alive and in Florida, but this turned out not to be true because Linda McClellan's body was found near her home in Pennsylvania. So Edward went to this show and he wanted the audience to know about this. So he ended up getting a hold of the microphone during the Q&A portion.
Nice.
Yeah. And when he got up to the microphone, he pretended to be possessed by spirits, collapsed on the floor, screaming, "Linda McClellan." The idea was that audience members would see this and look up the name Linda McClellan and find out for themselves that
did it work?
the psychic
it had
was a
to
fraud.
Have worked.
Probably for a few people. Like, there's no like proof. Like, how do we track that?
Oh, I thought it was going to be like, and thousands of people realized.
No, unfortunately, that was not the case. But, he just like kind of hated this lady. Like, he was trying to ruin her show. And then Susan followed in his footsteps. So years later in 2011, she saw that Sylvia was back in town to do a different speech. So she wanted to sabotage Sylvia's show. And she took a different approach. Susan had this group on Facebook, and this group was dedicated to taking down psychics. So she and Edward kind of ran this group of people who wanted to do what they were doing, and they decided they weren't going to do anything as extreme as what Edward had done. What they did was they stood up the block from where Sylvia's show was, and they handed out these cards that just read Linda McClellan, Sean Hornbeck. Just two names. Sean Hornbeck was another one of Sylvia's false predictions. He was a kidnapped child who Sylvia had done a psychic reading of and said he was taken by a brown-skinned man with dreadlocks.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So like, fuck Sylvia and her racism. Because in reality, this child was kidnapped by a white guy with undreaded white guy hair.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's really messed up.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you have to just not. You have to just shut the fuck up.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, this woman has no business doing this shit.
Yeah, and clearly she's fake. And clearly she's just making these wild racist assumptions.
Right. She's just profiting off of this horrific bullshit and taking advantage of people who are desperately searching for a loved one. Like, she has no business doing this shit. So, like, good for Susan and Edward for trying to step in. And so, they handed out these cards, and the idea was that people, if you were handed a card with 2 names on it, you'd Google those names. Mm-hmm. And so then you would find out for yourself that Sylvia was a fraud. I think this is a pretty good idea.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, like, I may not know what Sylvia said about these 2 people.
But if you Google either of those people, I think what comes up is this, like, Sylvia doing this reading, and that's not what happened. That was the plan, at least. But as the years went on, they kept doing this. So it started in 2009. 2011 was when they handed the cards. They kept going. And they realized that performing psychics more and more were relying on social media to learn about their audiences, to do better readings.
It's so funny to me and crazy. I don't know if funny is the right word for it, but like, for all the energy and effort that they're putting into this, like, of all the other things that, like, actually, never mind.
Yeah, this is their hobby, and this really matters to them, and
it does.
It does matter.
I didn't mean to. Yeah, I don't want to crap on.
No, I know what you're saying. This does take an extreme, and like, this is not Sylvia. This is Susan's full-time job. Like, she's retired. This is what she does. And so they decided to set up a psychic sting operations using Facebook. This led to Operation Pizza Roll in 2017.
Like Pizzagate.
Yes. And Susan has done tons, like, by now she's done a lot of these kind of stings, and she always gives them these ridiculous names because they hand out cards that say Operation Pizza Roll, and then you look it up and it's really easy to find their blog and hear the recordings and see exactly what happened. So that's why they name them kind of stupid stuff like this.
Yeah.
The group spent 10 days making fake Facebook profiles. Susan and Edward were kind of like at the heads of the Facebook profiles. Susan made herself and her friend Edward these profiles under the names Susanna and Mark. And they posted on them frequently, trying to make them appear real. They mentioned family members, experiences, dead family members. All of it was fake. And then they bought, once these Facebook profiles were kind of established and looked real, they bought tickets under their fake Facebook names to see Thomas John's show in LA.
They're just actors at heart.
Yeah, they're just having the time of their lives. Honestly, this whole thing sounds really fun.
Yeah, this is their alter ego. Yeah. This is their Claudia Severa and Holly Sancha.
Absolutely. I would so fast join this group. Like, this sounds fun.
Yeah, I would crumble under the pressure, though.
It's a lot of pressure. And they fully wake up every morning and choose violence. Like, they go to these shows and just ham it up. It's so funny. Thomas John was a well-known performing psychic. He had a successful celebrity practice on Madison Avenue, and he served celebrity clients like Sam Smith.
Okay. We know Sam Smith.
We know Courtney Cox.
Oh, yeah. We know Courtney Cox.
We do. And we know Julianne Moore.
We do. I was just watching Crazy Stupid Love last night.
Oh my God. That's fun.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. She freaking dumped his ass hard, too. She was like, I slept with this guy. You don't have anything to say about that?
Spoiler!
I didn't say his name specifically because A, I didn't remember it, and B, because I didn't want to spoil it.
See how ridiculous you sound when you call spoiler of a movie that's years and years old?
Ooh, but your whole argument was that Game of Thrones was like a pop culture, like everyone knew about it. Crazy Stupid Love is not at that level. It's a deep cut.
It's not at the level of Game of Thrones, but it's still a very popular movie that is years old, so there's no spoilers in it.
So everyone should know.
or just not care because it's already happened.
You should go on mission trips and spread the word of pop culture.
Okay, I was going to say I would absolutely not go on a fucking mission trip, but sure, I'll go on a pop culture mission trip. It's the one kind of mission trip I can get behind. And it will just be to my best friend and boyfriend because they need an education, apparently.
You've done very good. I understand your frustration because I'm halfway through Game of Thrones almost 2 years later.
Anyway, on the night of the show, Susan and Edward showed up. They were third row VIP ticket members.
Nice.
They were dressed in fancy clothes so that they'd be noticed, and they were holding tissues to signal to the psychic that they would get emotional.
I just imagine them planning this and they're laughing their asses off.
They think this is hilarious. And this is exactly what I want to do when I'm retired. Like I like psychics. I think like I've gotten plenty of psychic readings, but like this just sounds fun.
Yeah, you like playing with people and their emotions.
Oh my God.
No, it's really cool the parallels between these internet sleuths and your internet sleuths.
Yeah,
it's like everybody's just fighting for the truth.
Yeah, so true.
Definitely. And I'm sure if they came across a real psychic, like if they came to this show with their fake profiles and the psychic was reading their actual person, like they'd probably be amazed.
Yeah, definitely.
And they'd probably be happy, right? Because they found a real psychic.
Yeah, and they have that platform already to bring a new truth to the table.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
But so far, I don't think that's happened.
No, yeah, not so much. But I do agree. It would be fun. I wasn't trying to be like, you just want to play with people.
No, it's fine. I understand.
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
I see what I am to you. Susan's fake Facebook profile of Susanna mentioned that she had a twin brother die of pancreatic cancer. So right away, John said he was tuning in to a twin brother who wanted to talk to his sister. And Susan raised her hand. And John goes, "Someone's making me aware of cancer." And Susan, God bless her heart, started pretending to cry hysterically. And John goes, "I'm getting something right here," and was pointing to his abdomen, stomach or pancreas. And he kept going. He knew the name of her fake twin was Andy. He knew that she grew up in Michigan and that Andy's girlfriend was Maria. He knew about her father-in-law and how he died. All of this obviously was fake information she had been putting on this Facebook page. And it does seem to point to the fact that John is a fraud and was stalking his audience members' social media.
Definitely. And even though it's pretty clear that he's a fraud, I must give him credit for being able to remember all this information.
Definitely. He's a performer, and performers are good at memorizing stuff, but like, don't say you're a psychic.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just saying I wouldn't be able to do it.
Oh, I wouldn't either, but like, I mean, yeah.
People memorize Hamlet, which is like a phone book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not like he's doing anything that difficult.
To me, in my memory, he's doing something quite difficult. Okay. But I guess to the layman, he is not.
You're like, your nephew is... Pull out your phone, like...
Yeah, like I look to my hand, to my written notes, and I like look at you guys.
Writing all over your arm. You're like,
If you're really important in my life, you get a tattooed section in my arm so I can remember who you are and what you do. Your twin who died of pancreatic or stomach cancer. I'm not sure.
Yeah. He ended up coming to the pancreatic conclusion. Anyway,
that sounds like a band, the Pancreatic Conclusion.
It does. It really points to the fact that John is a fraud, because the way that Susan and Edward set this up is as a double-blind operation. So they had other people making these Facebook profiles for them. So Edward and Susan didn't know all the details of their own profiles.
That's smart.
Right.
That's really smart.
So they couldn't be tipping him off to these things. Like, it couldn't be like a Keith Barry situation where he was reading, like, quote unquote, reading their minds, because they didn't even know the details of their own fake lives.
Oh, so she was just raising her hand no matter what?
She knew a few things.
Okay.
But she didn't know all of it. And he was saying details of all of it. And there's something I didn't put in my notes. He said something like, oh, I'm getting the name, whatever. And it was like the name of her dad, I think, in the Facebook profile. But she didn't know that. So she said, oh, that's my dog. And
awkward.
That's when it got awkward. And that's when he was like, oh, and like stopped giving her a reading.
He just stopped and moved on?
Well, that's what have you ever seen like the Long Island Medium? That's what they do. They do like rapid fire readings on people in the audience. And then they're like, oh, I'm getting led over here.
Yeah.
Like they kind of just like ping pong around, because as soon as it gets weird and awkward and doesn't work anymore, they switch to a new person.
Commitment issues.
Or just being a fake. Both. So, I mean, this seemed to prove that he was definitely getting it from Facebook, and they caught the whole thing on tape. They were wearing recording devices, and, you know, their whole goal was to put it on their blog and pass out cards, tipping people off to it, whatever.
And then this suddenly turns into a true crime mystery case. You're like, and then they died.
Okay, they didn't die, but this is weird. So a couple days later, John messaged Susan Gerbich's actual Facebook. So he had seen, I don't know, he just sent her a single heart emoji.
Oh no.
So it looks like he was hinting that he had figured out the scheme, because I mean, Susan bought these tickets on her credit card under her real name, but like put the names as Susanna and Mark. So it seems like he figured it out, and eventually like he definitely figured it out, because, you know, they posted all this shit they found out, and he commented on the event. He said, for Susan to come to a reading and get a 2-minute reading and say, well, I made a fake Facebook post about my dog Buddy and my father who died, and it's really not any sort of scientific testing of psychic powers. First off, someone will have to be a scientist to do a scientific experiment, not someone who used to be a photographer at Sears.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, he just sounds like a douche.
He clearly is.
Yeah, like, he's just being dismissive. I mean, he got caught and he's trying to...
Yeah, he's on the defense.
Yeah, exactly. After their success at John's show, Susan and her group kept going. They now regularly do stings using Facebook, and they've had a lot of success. Susan's group now has 144 members as of 2019, and they don't only do these public stings. They also, a big part of their group is revising and editing Wikipedia pages, fact-checking them, especially ones about urban legends and paranormal myths. They kind of go through and like debunk and fact check these Wikipedia pages. It's mostly in good fun, but of course they do feel this moral obligation to protect people from what Susan calls grief vampires, which are these performing psychics that kind of prey on people's grief. This is a pretty common problem within the psychic industry. It can be really predatory. People have lost thousands of dollars and gone into debt for things like private psychics and psychic hotlines. And, you know, these are often people who have just gone through a traumatic life event or are dealing with major loss, and they should be seeing a psychiatrist or a therapist, and instead are wasting their money on psychics trying to get some semblance of peace.
I can't remember what lesson it was, but I was about to see a virtual like aura reader, and it was going to be like $50, and I was like, should I do it? Should I not do it? I thought really hard about it.
I mean, if you have the money and you're just doing it for fun, I say go for it. Like, I don't care if it's real or fake if I'm going to a psychic. It's fun.
It is fun.
But if you just lost your mom and you aren't grieving properly and you're desperately trying to cling to something and you're going to psychic after psychic and you can't afford it, like, that's where there's a problem. And like a responsible, even if you're a fake psychic, a responsible person would not be trying to keep getting money from someone who's obviously not in a place to make these decisions. but unfortunately people do. And that's where there's a really big issue in this industry.
Insert ad about BetterHelp.
Right.
I wish one day.
Someday. Rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Tell a friend. Anyway, I just want to end this lesson with a few ways to tell if a psychic is real or fake. If you believe in psychics at all, I do. So I'm going to include this. If you don't, whatever, they're all fake. You can go on believing that. I don't care. Real psychics will give you accurate and specific information, like full names and dates, rather than being super vague. A real psychic might have like a couple misses, but if they have a lot and there's miss after miss after miss, that's a red flag. You can look at reviews online. If your reading doesn't make sense or doesn't give you clear answers, it's probably fake, because a psychic's job is to clear things up for you. So if it does the opposite and you're left questioning what they meant, that's probably a fake psychic. If they tell you that there's like a demon attached to you and you need to come back and pay them for a spell to take that whatever it is off of you, that's most likely fake. And also if they're asking for too many details, like they shouldn't need details from you in order to do their reading. So I hope that helps you avoid being scammed. And that was my lesson on fraudulent psychics.
Wow, now I really want to go back and see Miss Monica.
I know, just dissect everything she does.
Yeah,
I'm
first
sorry,
of all,
Miss
as
Monica.
myself and as a fake myself.
Yeah. My mom one time got a past life reading and she was wearing like a leather bomber jacket and silver jewelry. And the psychic told her that like in a past life she had been like a silver miner on the Western frontier. And my mom was like, okay, cool. Like you just looked at my outfit.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes that's all it takes. Our
Right.
past lives affect us.
Right.
In our current lives.
Maybe that was the case.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me cite my sources. I have a Live Science article called Texas Mass Grave Hoax, Do Police Really Use Psychics by Benjamin Radford. A Thrillist article called 7 Trick Psychics Bullshit People With That Everyone Should Know by John Oliveto. A New York Times article called Inside the Secret Sting Operations to Expose Celebrity Psychics by Jack Hitt. And then centerforinquiry.com and progpost.com. And that was my motherfucking lesson.
Good job. That was great.
Thank you guys for listening. I'm sorry if I pissed you off by any of my opinions tonight. And if you enjoyed listening and you're not too mad at us, please rate, review, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. Tell a friend. Maybe tell multiple friends.
Sharing is caring.
It really is. It is Teacher Appreciation Week, so you know what to do.
Appreciate your motherfucking teachers.
That's right. Maybe even visit Patreon if you're feeling really spicy. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. We love you. We appreciate you. And 3, 2, 1. Class dismissed.